Hey, Terry. Happy Saturday morning. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We're going to try something a little different, as we mentioned, in 2022 compared to what we did in 2021. What we're going to do is we're going to cover on Saturday mornings, get up early, wipe the sand out of our eyes. I don't drink any coffee, Terry, so I won't have but I do drink my Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew. It's got a habit I got to break in 2022. Yeah, there you go. Because you need that little caffeine rush to get you running on Saturday mornings for sure. But we wanted to cover the stakes races because we used to do live all day at a track, and that got really long. And then we still will do some live track coverage on big race days like the Kentucky Derby, or when they have some of these Kentucky Derby qualifiers, like the like the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes, the Arkansas Derby, that sort of stuff. The Florida Derby, but we wanted to make sure we covered the big stakes races on the weekend, races that have over $100,000 in potential prize money, purse money for the horses, because those are the ones that attract the biggest money pools. And the bigger money pools are the races that horse players should be playing, because those are the ones that, if you get it right, Terry, they give you the best payouts.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So today we're covering 5 races, Terry. We're going to cover Aqueduct race number 8. It's to save Florida Sandy Stakes. Advertising in New York to get out of New York to get to Florida. According to latest demographic polls, that's happening without this race, Terry. Number Gulfstream Park. Strange that we're going to go straight from New York to Florida. Just how that worked out. We have the $100,000 Tropical Turf Stakes, Terry. It sounds to me, when it's like 6 degrees outside, the Tropical Turf Stakes, it's got a sound to it that I makes me feel warmer inside. Yeah. We're going to go off to Oaklawn in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I don't know how hot it is down there today, but anyway, the $150,000 PIPPIN Stakes, Santa Anita race 8, which I think is Terry's best bet of the day over at horseracingtoday.net. So make sure you head on over there and check that out. And then finally, we're going, and that's the St. YNEZ Stakes. I'm never really quite sure how they pronounce that one. And then finally, we're going to end up in Kentucky at Turfway Park, Terry, for the $100,000 Turfway PREVUE Stakes. What do you think about that roster of races?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Well, we better get to New York before they get the snow bomb. Are you familiar with like the snow Arctic bomb that's coming to New York?
I heard something about that. I'm not too familiar about what it is, but
yeah, they're supposed to get a lot of ice and a lot of snow and a lot of just an Arctic bomb. It's a pretty interesting name for something, right?
Yeah, I do know that they canceled the races yesterday at Aqueduct and Laurel Park, or that was the day before, I guess.
Well, let's hope they don't cancel them today, Terry. So the first race, as we mentioned, is let me open this up, pop it a little bigger, is the race number 8. It's 7 furlongs, Terry, at Aqueduct. It is the Say Florida Sandy Stakes. It's a 7 furlong race, Terry. So far at Aqueduct, the current meet, they've had 28 races that have gone 7 furlongs on the main track, Terry. And then they've had 28 of those. 21 of them were won by speed. 9 were won by wire to wire, Terry. And if you look at the post position bias, there has been a clear inside to outside bias. Outside to inside bias. So the outside horses have had a better chance than the inside horses. So let's get talking. Let's run down the field, Terry, and then at the end, let's talk about what we like. Okay. The first horse on that in the red saddlecloth will be number 1, Alpha Chai Row. Got some early speed, Terry, coming in from Laurel. Those early pace figures are amongst some of the tops in the field. Hasn't run at Aqueduct before, and as you know, I'm not the biggest fan, Terry, of horses that make that move from like a smaller track, Laurel, to a bigger track like Aqueduct. But I do think it has a shot to play. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the number 1 horse. It's been in the money 7 out of 8 times this year. And it's got won 5 of those. It's got a hot jockey. Jose Ortiz in the last 7 days has won 5 out of 19 and actually been in the money 11 times out of 19. So
Number 2 is Chesterton, Terry. Chesterton doesn't look like it'll be a part of the early pace, though. If you do rewind back to a couple of races ago, maybe 5-6 races ago at Aqueduct, did show some fleet foot, has been a good performer at the New York track. What do you think about Chesterton?
Yeah, he finished third in the last race, finished in the money 5 out of 6 starts at Aqueduct, and he's won 3 of them there.
Mhm. Did run some better fractions last time out. I know it doesn't really look like it on paper, but if you calculate them out, it did run a better race than it did before it head to the bench. Second off a layoff, 3 times at Aqueduct, 6 times at Aqueduct with 3 wins and 2/3. Battle Station, Kendrick Kermouche. He's a pretty aggressive rider. Terry, I like when he gets on a horse and gets him near the front. Does have a win on this horse. Only one of the last 2 times it's won. Kendrick was on in the irons, and that was on turf. Horse was run its last 2 on dirt. The first time after the switch, ran really well, won. And then last time out, didn't do as well at Parks. What do you think about Battle Station?
Well, Battle Station has a little bit of an excuse for that bad race last time. He came extremely wide into the stretch, and actually he's had 1 win out of 2 entries at Aqueduct, and he's had a win at this distance. So, like you said, he has Kendrick Kermouche, who's in the last 7 days been in the money 12 out of 19 times and won 6 of those.
Number 4 is the morning line favorite, Terry. That's Lobster. Rock Lobster. Do you remember that song from the, what was it, the B-52s, Rock Lobster?
Yeah, I remember it.
You had that on your Walkman. Does anybody, okay, so the only reason people know what a Walkman is because of that movie. God, it's my favorite of the Marvel movies. The one, I can't remember the name right now. Guardians of the Galaxy. Because Starman, he has the Walkman. I mean, that's the only reason I think this generation has any idea what a Walkman is. But anyway, Lobster ran the highest last race speed figure, Terry, last time out. Huge improvement across the board in its internal numbers. Should be better at second time off the start, and it has to be one of the favorites in here. Although it was 28-1 when it pulled off that big run.
Absolutely, and that was really pretty shocking the way it improved that much. So it had, and it earned the highest last speed rating doing that, and it won the last race at Aqueduct, the one we're talking about, and is the fastest. This dirt speed is the fastest among today's starters, and has a sharp workout on January 3rd, second best out of 90 at 48 breezing for 4 furlongs.
Yeah, that's. Are you worried about a bounce out of this horse, Terry?
Yeah, I kind of am. Yeah.
Because when you see a horse make that big kind of jump off the bench, that 104, and you don't see anything close to that, I'm concerned that horse is going to bounce and go back the other way. The only thing to me that gives me pause in the bounce theory is it ran on December 5th. It's been on the track twice since. Ran the second fastest of 203 workouts on December 24th, so on Christmas Eve, and then the second fastest of 90. That's faster. What is that? 293 horses, of which it ran the fastest, couple of the fastest times. So I'm not as concerned. I do think that number is going to come down, but I don't know if it'll be enough to come down to beat it. Last time out, my boy Tate, Terry, was the favorite against Rock Lobster. And finished second by a half a length. Did have the lead in the stretch and gave it up. It's another horse that I do expect, based upon its resume, that you'll see some improvement in the second start off the bench. And last time it was only about a click behind the number 4 horse, Lobster. So what do you think about my boy Tate's chances to reverse roles today?
I think it's got a good chance. You look at the last 6 races, it's improved every single race. And, this horse has a really good trainer. It's won 21% of the races that they've entered. And then has a best dirt speed, which is faster than the average dirt speed in here.
Yeah, and my boy Tate has been my boy Aqueduct, too, because in 14 races at Aqueduct, have 7 wins in the money in 11 of those 14 races. Likes the distance, too, at 5 wins and 11 starts. So I do think that my boy Tate is going to be one that you have to have on your tickets, Terry. Just a matter of where. And then finally, Saratoga Pal, not been the best at Aqueduct. Maybe like Saratoga, its namesake a little bit better. But at Aqueduct's run 6 times, only has 1 win, nothing else. So if it's going to do anything, it's going to win. Fourth start off a layoff, Terry. One of these horses that's improved in the first 3 races. Do you expect Saratoga Pal to improve in the 4 start off the bench?
Well, I think a little bit over its head. Has a 25% trainer when the horse that he has won the race before,
Mm-hmm.
and he did win at Aqueduct this last race. He's got a really good workout on at Belmont on 31st of December at 48.3, breezing 16 out of 181.
Yeah, that's a lot of horses again that it stacked up against that afternoon. So
Yeah,
and the trainer there, Chris Engelhardt, does tend to come off of a win and follow it up another. And if you remember when we had Maggie Wolfendale on the Player's Edge podcast, she mentioned that Mr. Engelhardt is one of those trainers that can come in from like Finger Lakes and some of those tertiary tracks and do well. So maybe he does well here with Saratoga Pal. All right, Terry, how do you rank them for the race number 8, the Save Florida Sandy Stakes at Aqueduct?
okay, well, I'm going to start out and pick the number 1 horse, Alpha Chief Rowe.
Alpha
my
Tyro,
first pick.
huh?
Yeah,
It's a fraternity horse, I guess.
that's right.
Alpha
right.
Tyro. That's
Yeah, that's a very competitive horse, and I think it's going to do really well. And then you've got number 4, Lobster, and then number 5, My Boy Tate, and then to round it off, number 2, Chestertown.
Yeah, I think My Boy Tate's going to reverse roles on Lobster today. I do like those workouts for Lobster, but I do think they're likely to go 1-2. So I'm going to go My Boy Tate on top of Lobster, reverses the curse, and then I'm going to go with Chesterton, and then number 3, Battle Station. So I'm going 5, 4, 2, and 3 in race number 8 for the Save Florida Sandy Stakes. And then we're going to save Florida, Terry, and then we're going to go to Florida. We're going to head on off to Gulfstream Park for race number 8. It is the $100,000 Tropical Turf Stakes, Terry. It's a 1 mile on the main track, on the turf course, Terry. And if you look at these 1 mile turf courses down there in Miami, they've put 29. That track is in Coral Gables, I think. But anyway, yeah. 29 races, 17 were won by speed horses. 6 have gone wire to wire, Terry. And there's clearly an inside out bias for the post positions. Now, you've been to about 60. I think you've been to just about every track. I know it's one of your like life missions to visit every track before we check up and out of here.
Yeah, I've been to 75 actually.
75 is Gulfstream one of those 75?
It is. I've been there twice.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Oh yeah, I really liked it a lot. One of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, I've been to Miami, I think twice. I liked Miami. It was nice. I like the warm weather. What can I say? All right, so we have this is a field again that's going to be running 1 mile on the turf that has an inside out bias, Terry. Favors some speed horses, and Pete Aiello, when he was on the Player's Edge podcast, he did mention that everybody knows that the at Gulfstream Park, the turf and the dirt course tend to have a front edge bias, and that's one of the things he liked about the new Tapeta surface is that there was no clear bias. So number 1, Largent, is on the inside, Terry. Should have some pretty good early pace. I expect that you'll see this horse. It's just a Terry horse all the way to me, Terry, because it's one from the front, it's one from the middle, and it's one from the back. So when I see horses like this, I say this is a Terry Hollywood Hay horse.
It is. Absolutely. I love this horse. It's a 10 out of 10 in the Money Career Starts, and it won 6 of those. Todd Fletcher trains the horse, and right now he's winning at a 47% margin here. It has the best turf speed among today's starters, and the jockey trainer combination has been in the money 6 out of 7 times, winning 3 of those. And, I know there might be concern because it hasn't been around for quite a while, but if you look at all the times that it's in the past been off for a certain amount of time, comes back, it runs just well, really good.
Yeah, coming off the bench. Well, one of the things I mean, this is clearly a horse that likes the Gulfstream Park course. Has run there 6 times, 4 times it's won, 2nd times it's finished second. So it's either run first or second at Gulfstream. And the one thing that I do like before it hits the track is what I call the bullet and go. New Year's Eve, Largent wasn't partying. Largent was working at the track, putting in the fastest 5 furlong workout of 10. So not a lot of competition in that number, but as you mentioned, when it's had extended breaks before, it's come back pretty hot and ran just fine. Number 2 is Clear Vision, Terry, ridden by Julien Laperoux, trained by Matthew O'Connor. It's a horse that's making its second start off a layoff after showing some speed last time out, Terry. Kind of held that speed, didn't really improve its track position much, was a middle of the pack in terms of bet 920. But I do like the fact that there were some pretty good improvements in its fractions. So that tells me Clear Vision is a horse that in 2022 is on the course, fit, firm, and ready to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. This horse has been in the money 4 out of the last 4 races, and won 2 of those and ran second in the other 2. This is another horse that you can break on top and lead all the way, and when he does and doesn't get much pressure, he wins by quite a bit. But he can also come from behind. If you look at that race July 31st, where he broke 4th in the 5th place, and he came from behind and just barely got beat by a head. And another one is back down in October 11th. He did something similar to that. And the distance today is a little bit shorter, which could help.
Here's every guy's favorite horse, Terry. Number 3, Fat Man.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Don't we all? Got to take the COVID-20 off this year. Was the favorite last time out at Parks. Now goes to Churchill Downs, to Gulfstream Park. I'm not the biggest fan, Terry, of fat men, skinny men, or any men going from, like I've mentioned this too many times. It's become almost cliche, but the horse, however, has run at Gulfstream Park, has run down at Gulfstream Park on the dirt, has not done so on the turf. So interesting to see that they're taking a horse from Parks, not my favorite angle, to a bigger track, taking it from dirt to turf. Maybe the off-track record says it might like the turf, but its actual turf record says Fat Man's not a fan of the turf. What do you think you'll be in terms of a fan of this race?
Yeah, well, the trainer wins 22% of the time when he brings a beaten favorite back, but that was a really disappointing race at Parks in October 12th. If you look, though, at the last workout, that was on the turf, and he did it 4 furlongs in 46.4.
Which is fast.
It is fast, and he was the best out of 54 workouts that day. So even though he hasn't done very well in the turf, he's ran second out of 5 times. This one could just up and bite the competition's butt.
Yes, it could be one that hurts. It hurts the favorites for sure. Speaking of one of the favorites, number 4, Value Proposition, ridden by Irad Ortiz. He's gone south. His brother stayed up at Aqueduct. It's the 3rd start off a layoff for this horse, Terry. Last time out in a 3-race cycle, the horse backed up a little bit. And I'm a big cycle fan in terms of how horses do. In the first race in the cycle, the second race, third race, all the way through however many races they won. It's a $500,000 horse, Terry. Was run at the distance 6 times. Managed to find the winner's circle 3 of those times with a second and a third. I do like the fact that there was a little bit of improvement in the first half of the race last time out, particularly in the 2 furlong numbers, but the horse did kind of tail off late in the race. I'm concerned that you might see a replay of what we saw the last time Value Proposition was in the 3-race cycle and back up just a little bit in the 3rd try off the bench.
Yeah. Well, this horse has really done well, as you said, 6 out of 7 in the money this year and won 3 of those. And whenever Chad Brown brings a horse in or ships a horse in, he wins 27% of the time. But that last race where he was a little bit disappointing there, he had some trouble in that race. So, if he can stay out of trouble, he can really redeem himself, I think.
And number 5 is Flying Scotsman. Is that Mel Gibson in Braveheart?
It could be.
Yes. This is a jockey going to paint his face blue. Anyway, Flying Scotsman, Corey Lanieri on the mount with trainer Jack Sisterton. So horse that was supposed to run on the turf last time got moved off because of the weather. Ran on probably the Tapahita track. Didn't really like that one at all. But it looks to me like he might like turf a little bit better. But it's what I call, Terry, an all or nothing horse. 8 runs on the turf. He either wins
He doesn't
or
do
he
anything.
doesn't finish anywhere near the money. So
That's right.
which version are we getting today? Jekyll or Hyde?
Well, I don't think he's going to win today. And the reason why is I think there's probably a little too much speed in here to push him. So,
Uh-huh.
and I think that's the problem why he either wins or don't. I think if he gets very little pressure, he'll win. But if you look and see when he gets pressure, like that one at Pimlico on May 15th, you see there he broke on top, and he was pressured up until turning into the stretch, and then he, fell off. And that's happened a couple of times. So if he gets out there and doesn't have much pressure like he did on February 13th, then he
We'll have a shot.
Yeah, he stays out there pretty well. So
Number 6 is Call Kurt, Terry. Last time out at Gulfstream, did the dirt to turf angle, found his legs early, got to the front, was in the front into the stretch, and then kind of gave it up a little bit late. But it is one of its better performances. I think it's actually its best performance that the horse has put on the track. The horse is making its third start off a break. The only other 3-race cycle for Call Kurt was one where it was by far its best effort. Hola, Jose Diaz. How are you today, my man? Amigo. But Call Kurt, Terry, do you think this is a live long shot? I do.
I do. Yes, I absolutely do. This horse can either run on top or it can come from behind. If you look at that race February 18th where it broke 5th by 3 and he won that race, this horse has been in the money 4 out of 6 times this year and won one of those. He's got a really sharp workout on January 1st, and prior to that, he has another pretty good workout. So this horse, I think, is a horse that is going to go. I don't think they're going to look at it, the general public, but I think it has a great chance.
Yeah, I think that 20-1 morning line odds is going to toss some people off. But for the most part, when the horses run, Terry, it's been mildly bet between 5-1 and 9-1. I think the odds were going to come down. The horse has been in the money 8-9 at Gulfstream Park, so clearly a horse that likes the course. 4 or 5 in the money. I don't know that Call Kurt's going to win, but I do think he can make your exacta or trifecta or superfecta pay out bigger. Number 7, Belgrano. I'm not so sure Belgrano can do that, Terry, that it has run at Gulfstream Park 17 times, hit the board in 7 of those races. It is also making its third start off a layoff. It's an 8-year-old horse, Terry. It looks to me like so far in 2022, it's running like an 8-year-old horse.
I agree. I think it's way over its head, and I think it's just out of shape. It's not doing very well. Yes, it's finished in the money 7 out of 17 times at Gulfstreams. But if you look at the last 2 races of Gulfstreams, it didn't do very well at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it didn't do it well at all. All right, Terry. So we run through the field for race number 8 at Gulfstream Park, the $100,000 Tropical Turf Stakes. Man, I wish I was down at Gulfstream Park today, Terry. It's so cold outside today here in Chicago. But nonetheless, let's see if we can make some hot picks. How do you like them today, Terry?
Yeah, I like number 1, Largent. I really think this horse is going to win this race. Mm-hmm. And then I like number 2, Value Position.
That's
and
number
then,
4.
I'm sorry, number 4, Value Position. And then I like number 6, Call Kurt, as a long shot. I'm pretty sure it's going to get in the exotic. And then I'll take the number 3.
You just jinxed it, Terry.
I hope not. You're superstitious, I can tell. But most gamblers are. Anyway, I like number 3, Fat Man. He's gonna be somebody to kind of keep an eye on. So.
I'm not a gambler, Terry. I'm a risk taker.
Oh, okay.
See, there's a big difference between gamblers, and I think risk takers. Right? I play the odds. People gamble. Gambling is you just take a chance and there's no thought about it. You don't try to figure out the probabilities. What I try to do is I try to take horses that I feel like I'm getting better odds on than they should be. Right? So if I feel like a horse it should be 2-1 odds and I'm getting 3-1 odds, so I'm playing probabilities, Terry. I'm not gambling.
Okay, so
but nonetheless. If I'm going to gamble today on this race, Terry.
So you're a risk taker who's superstitious.
Superstitious risk taker, indeed.
That's right.
Number 1, Largent, I think is going to get the job done, Terry. I think it's a close call between Clear Vision and Value Proposition, although I think Value Proposition is a little better horse. It's a little bit chalky on the top for me. And then I have number 6, call Kurt in my fourth position as the one that's going to fatten up the superfecta, Terry. So I'm going to go 1, 4, and it's a close call between the 4 and the 2 for me, but I'm going to go 1, 4, 2, 6 in the Tropical Turf Stakes, the Grade 3 race number 8 at Gulfstream Park today, Terry. Next up on our board, I think we're going to go a little bit north, a little bit west, maybe to, it would definitely be northwest, to Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds like a nice place too, doesn't it? Hot Springs, Terry?
It does, but I don't think it's that hot right now, is it?
I don't know. I haven't been there. I asked Chris. But this is one that is a mile on the dirt course. And one of the things we've noticed, Terry, you and I, over the year, doing these live broadcasts together, when we did Oaklawn Park, I don't know if there's a track that's more speed dominant on big days. It seems to me like every time we go to Oaklawn, the horse that gets to the front is the horse that wins, right?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Could be anecdotal, but nonetheless, this is the $150,000 Pippin Stakes. I don't think it's named after Scottie Pippen. Probably named after horse, but 17 races of it, Terry, so far. 10 of them, as I figured, would be won by speed. 6 of them, so almost a third of them, going wire to wire. There is a big-time post position bias for the rail horse. I think it's won a quarter of the races, Terry. And then from there, the 2 and the 3 have a little bit of advantage over the 4, 5, and 6. They have a little bit of advantage over the 8, 9, that sort of thing. So big rail advantage. And then there is more of an inside, but less dramatic inside to out bias. So fast horses on the inside, Terry, for the $150,000 Pippin Stakes at Oaklawn Park. And you're going to get a horse on the rail, but not necessarily a fast horse with number 1 Coach, with Ricardo Santana Jr. riding for Brad Cox. This is a horse that's making its second start off a layoff. Last time it made a 2-race cycle, Terry. Big improvement in the late numbers, but a little bit of a step back in terms of its speed figure. Does Coach improve enough today to take advantage of that rail?
I think so. I think it's pretty impressive. It went from April to December and won its first race back. And it won it pretty darn easily. Won it by 2 lengths. Mm-hmm. Brad Cox is a trainer, 29% winning clip. And Santana is the jockey, 21%. He's got those two have in combination won 4 out of 16 races. And he has a halfway decent workout December 31st. So.
Number 2 is Breeze Rider, Terry. It's a horse, a 5-year-old mare for Steve Manley, E.T. Baird, who comes from Hawthorne up in my area, coming down to Oaklawn Park. It's a horse that's flashed a lot of early speed, Terry, at Turfway Park, at Fairgrounds, at Keeneland, at Indiana Grand, at Kentucky Downs, at Ellis Park, Arlington Park. I think you get the point. Indiana Grand. This horse is well-traveled, and no matter where it goes, it gets off to a really good start, Terry. I expect it's going to go to another good start, but when it's gone to Oaklawn Park before, Terry, it's 0 for 2.
Yes.
Can it break that 0 for?
I think it's going to have a good chance to, yeah. This horse, as you see, has won 2 in a row, so it's going for a hat trick. It's won 4 out of the last 5. It actually won 7 out of 12 this year, which is pretty darn good.
Found its stride.
It's been 4 times out of 4 in the money at this distance, 1 and 2. And if there happens to be a little bit of weather there, it's only race on and off track. So
I was reading in a book somewhere that it seems like, and I forget which book it was, but the 5-year-old horse is where sometimes the horse gets that breakthrough year, be it a male or a female, like a horse that just, for whatever reason, when it turns 5, horses that haven't run, it's like the form reversal year. Yeah. Horses that have been really good, sometimes at 5-year-old don't become so good anymore, and horses that weren't as good. And it's particularly a strong thing with 5-year-old horses that have been gelded, so on the boy side. But Robertino Diodoro, a fan of the show and a guest on our show, a fan, one of our fans, we're fans of him. Yeah. He's got David Cohen, one of his go-to jockeys, on number 3, W.W. Fitzy. So horse, Terry, that at Oaklawn Park, prior to its previous race, showed some early speed. Last time out, faced some of these. There's a little bit of a black bold to its in front of it because it finished 4th. It got off to a slow start. That's kind of unusual for a Robertino Diodoro horse. And I know And that's because he didn't train him last time. And I know this for sure, Terry. Robertino told us that when he claims a horse, he has a very specific race in mind. He must have had this race in mind. And I'm expecting to see W.W. Fitzy revert back to this Oaklawn Park form back here where it gets off to the front under the tutelage of Robertino. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that the way that he's been training and the way he's been running and the way that Robert Diodoro does, this horse needs to break on top. But although it can come from behind, but I think it does better breaking on top. So it's getting blinkers back on. So this trainer wins 32% of the time when it does that. Has the best dirt speed is fastest among today's starters, although tied with another one. And Robert Tino has won 3 out of the last 9 races. So
yeah, and he's really good off the claim too. So I like to see that. Another thing I like to see here too, Terry, is it was always bet very well, right? 2-1, basically even money, 6-1, 1-2 even money. So he's been bet very well, and you're going to get 8-1 odds on that horse. So we talked a couple minutes ago about the difference between a gambler and a person who plays the probability or the odds. This is one of those horses where I feel like you're getting better value at the morning line odds of 8-1. There's nothing to say it's going to go off at that, but if it stays at 8-1 odds, I believe Robertino's horse brings in a lot of value. It's all in the notes, Terry. Race number 4, last time out at Oaklawn Park. Where it's been 3 times and it's run the same race 3 times at Oaklawn Park. It is absolutely a horse for the course. 3 wins, 3 races at Oaklawn. It's run 10 races elsewhere, Terry, and Ofer. Will this horse for the course at 20-1 morning line odds make it 4 for 4 at Oaklawn Park?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a shocker to everybody that was betting on it last time. But if you look at the way this horse has improved, you start back on June 28th and look at the race there. Each and every race, he's improved his speed rating all the way up to where he won that. I think he's in top form. I think it's a horse you really need to consider. He's 6 out of the 9 races in the money this year, won 3 of those, of course, at Oaklawn Park. So, like you say, I think he is a horse for the course, and he's dangerous. You need to really take a good look at him.
Well, his 3rd time off a layoff did kind of regress last time in the 3-race cycle, and I don't like that last workout. 160 of 162. I think that the Ofer goes for today. Number 5 is Josie, Terry, coming in from Laurel Park. Not a big fan of that angle again, but I am a big fan of Steve Asmussen, heck of a trainer. Works very well with Ramon Vasquez. Together, they've won 20% of their races, only 47% in the money, which is kind of surprising for me. The horse does like the distance, running there 4 times, got a couple of wins, Terry. And when I look back at the horse's previous races coming off the bench, the last 2, Terry, so maybe this is one of those horses that just runs its best races sharp, won its last 2 races when it's got a little bit of time in the barn to rest, relax, maybe eat some of the good hay.
That's true. He switches to the high percentage winning jockey. Like you said, I like Steve Asmussen too. You can't knock him. He does a really good job. This horse has the highest speed figure at today's distance. And he has the best dirt speed. He's actually tied with the number 3 horse with that. And the jockey in the last 7 days has won 5 out of 18, finished in the money 11 times. And he has a pretty good workout December 29th.
Number 6 is Miss Bigley. Now, considering my last name, Bigglemeyer, Miss Bigley is kind of in my right in my. It's named after me in some ways, except on the lady side. Did run the highest last race speed figure, Terry. And I like when horses run the highest last race speed figure, and then they couple it with a drop in class. The horse does show some early speed, so I like that. Considering that track. Has a really nice workout last time out, and it was at Oaklawn Park, 4th fastest of 36 at 4 furlongs on the slop. And then you look at the fact that the horse has run 1 time over Oaklawn Park, and guess what? It ended up in the winner's circle, Terry. So to me, Miss Bigley is another horse that's coming off a break. Last time out, 1. This is one that you got to consider. A horse for the course, loves the distance, 5 wins in 7 races. Kind of hard to argue against Miss Bigley.
Absolutely. I mean, this horse is been in the money 8 out of 9 times this year, winning 3 of those races. And if you look at the distance, won 5 out of 7, and the other 2 ran third. So this is a horse that's really on top of its plan. I mean, he's really
game.
Game. Yeah. So
number 7 is Wellington Wonder, Terry. It's a horse that last time out on the mud against some of these was 50-1, Terry, and ended up finishing third by 4 3/4. Really tailed off late, Terry. Second time with the new trainer, and that's Genaro Garcia or Genaro Garcia, and David Cabrera, which kind of interesting. David used to be a jockey that does run a lot with Robertino, and I got to say, when he was on the show, David is one of the most upbeat people we've ever come across. So I always wish him luck, Terry, but I don't know that amount of luck I can put on him to give him a shot to win this race.
Yeah, it's really tough. This will be the let's see here. This horse here ran third the last time it ran at Oaklawn, which was last race you were talking about at 50-1. And but I think it's got a big goal here to try to win this race. So.
All right. So speaking of winning this race, Terry, I think that's the entire field. Yes, it is the entire field. Time for us to go out there and make our picks. Who do you like in the eighth race at Oaklawn, the $150,000 Pippin Stakes?
I like number 6, Miss Bigley. And then I like number 1, Coach. And then I like number 4, It's All in the Notes. And then number 2, Breezy Rider.
I'm going to go with number 6, Miss Bigley as well, Terry. I think Miss Bigley is the one to beat. Coach does get that big rail advantage. That's the one horse. So I'm going to go 6-1. That's where I'm going to start. I do like Robertino off the claim, so I'm expecting WW Fitzy to do better. So I'm going to go 6-1-3, and then I'm going to back it up with my fourth choice, Josie. So 6, 1, 3, and 5 for me, Terry, at Oaklawn Park for the 8th race. And these races also, Terry, this one coming up at Aqueduct at the Santa Anita. The Santa YNEZ Stakes is a Kentucky Oaks qualifier, Terry. The winner gets 10 points for the Kentucky Oaks. It's a 7 furlong at Santa Anita, Terry, on the main track. If you look at Santa Anita, so they start all the way in the back. They run all the way down the back stretch, make that turn, and then they come home at the world's most beautiful track. I know you said you've been to 75 tracks. You live in California. I have to imagine you've been to Santa Anita.
Absolutely, yes, I have 2 or 3 times. So, and it is a beautiful track.
So. I've been there once, and I stayed across the street in like I don't know. Did you ever see the movie No Country for Old Men?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
there was like a hotel across the street for like No Country Old Men, like that, like a little place with a pool outside, and then I would just walk across the street to the track. It was really nice. I had a good time over there, and it is absolutely a beautiful track with the San Gabriel Mountains in the background. So if you ever have a chance, make sure you head out to Santa Anita whenever they open the country back up again, right?
Yep.
So 7 furlongs, Terry, on Santa Anita's track. So far, they've only run 5 races. So really not a great data set that we can say is absolute. But in those 5 races, 100% of them, Terry, were won by speed. 2 of them went wire to wire. The rail hasn't won any of them yet, but again, doesn't mean much. All of the winners came from posts 2 through 7. So I don't know on 5 races if that means anything, Terry, but the one horse under the stars might be one. She might be one that can break that rail curse. She's making her 4th start. She finally broke her maiden last time out, $52,000 at Los Alamitos. This Bob Baffert horse with Flavian Pratt. I mean, that's a California combination that's always going to be well bet. I expect Under the Stars as the morning line favorite to be well bet. But I'm not the biggest fan of horses going from the maiden win up to stakes company and not doing so with the best last race speed figure.
Yeah, I agree with that. This horse has been 3 times out of 3 in the money in its career win in the last race where it broke the maiden, and ran a really good race, 109 flat, 6 furlongs. Anyway, it has to me. It appears to me it needs to come from off the pace. I don't think it's going to be able to lead. So anyway, it's got really good workouts though.
Indeed. Number 2 is Big Shamrock, Abel Cedillo and Dan Blacker. Horse did break his maiden last time out at the maiden, claiming 50,000. So not only am I not a big fan of horses that break their maidens and then don't do so with the highest last race speed figure and then bounce themselves up into stakes company, I'm really not a fan of horses that do it at maiden Clayton company. I want to see at least done at maiden special weight at the highest level. So I don't know that Big Shamrock is going to have a big chance to get the job done and make it 2 wins in a row and collect those Kentucky Oaks points.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd be really surprised if this horse, Big Shamrock, did much at all. It's really, it won its last race, but of course the competition in this race is much, much tougher, I think.
Absolutely. The only thing I see going for it, Terry, 3 consecutive speed increases, and you've seen the odds in each progressive race dropped on this horse. So the bettors are becoming a little bit more, they're seeming to appreciate that horse a little more. Now you got John Sadler and Johnny V teaming up on Big Switch, Terry, one of the favorites here. Run twice, Terry. Won both of those races with ease, was the favorite in its debut, came back to improve big time in its second start off a break, hit the bench, comes back out. So I'm wondering if Big Switch is one of these horses that's going to be one to the bench, one to the bench, one to the bench, and it's going to have a difficult time stringing a bunch of races together in a row. Last time out at a non-graded race, the horse put together a win with the highest last race speed figure. Workout sense have been pretty solid. Big Switch to me is one to beat.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. This horse won both of its races easily, and it's actually won last race at 7 furlongs, which I think is the only horse that's been to that distance. And it has the best dirt speed fast among today's starter. And actually, John Velasquez in the last 7 days has won 7 out of 15 mounts, been in money 11 times. So this horse is a horse for the course, I think, even though it hasn't ran here.
Yeah, Johnny V's been lighting up the tote board. He's won 44% of his races at Santa Anita. That's out. That's almost out. It should almost be illegal.
Yeah.
Mima June, Terry, coming down from your neck of the woods to Southern California, where it never rains, except a lot lately. Looks to me like they're searching for this horse. Debuted at Emerald Downs on the grass. I mean, on dirt. Didn't really run very well. Took a break, so maybe got a little bit injured because it did break awkwardly. Had a little bit of a rough start. Then went to Golden Gate, ran on turf. And then after the turf race that it won, they put it in a low-level, non-graded stakes race on the all-weather track, and it won. Now it returns back to dirt, moves south, Terry. Can Mima June find its way on dirt after performing much better on all-weather or turf? Or, as I think, Terry, this horse is probably a turf horse or an all-weather track horse and probably not a dirt horse.
Yeah, that could be. You could be right about that. This horse, though, could surprise people because if you got a horse coming from Northern California to Southern, they don't get much respect, and a lot of times they're not as good as the Southern California horses. But here recently, the Golden Gate horses have been doing fairly decent against the Southern California horses. So I like Jonathan Wong as a trainer.
Very good.
He's really good. And he wins 27% of the time when he's won his last race. So we'll just have to see what happens with this horse.
Yeah, they're Rodney Dangerfield horses. I tell you. If you haven't watched Rodney Dangerfield, because you're maybe not in that age group, and I know most of the folks who do come watch us probably are familiar with Rodney Dangerfield, but if you haven't, go over to YouTube because he truly is a really funny. He's a funny guy, but he's also funny to look at. So it's funny all the way around, right?
Yeah.
Number 5, Awake at Midnight. They misspelled midnight. But this is a horse of Mario Gutierrez and Doug O'Neill. Horse is a nose away from being undefeated. It debuted at Santa Anita with a nice win. And then, which I think is I think it actually put together the highest speed figure in the debut, which is an angle I love for lightly raced horses, because sometimes after the debut, they back up a little bit. And then that debut number is kind of a little bit of what their potential is. And then up from there, I equate it to like IPOs in the stock market. IPO comes out and crashes a little bit, and then comes back up, and then when it finally crosses over its IPO price, those stocks tend to take off. I think the same thing is said for these young horses. They come out, they maybe fall off a little bit, and then they rebound back up. And after they rebound, it's a unlimited upside. And I think Awake at Midnight be one of those type of horses. Last time out, ran a second by a nose on the turf. It's going to go back to dirt where it won, to the track that it won. Terry, is Awake at Midnight going to collect 10 points and on the journey to this year's Kentucky Oaks?
Yeah, well, it's very competitive, as you've seen in the first two races, and yeah, it could have a really good chance. It had a pretty decent workout on January 2nd. Trainer wins 20% of the time when he goes sprint or out to sprint. And, you know, I was talking about the horse that ran 7 furlongs up there, the 3 horse, and that was the only one. But this horse actually ran a mile, although it was on a turf in its last race. So I think that the distance is going to be no problem.
No, this horse should be fit and ready to go. I'm pretty sure Doug O'Neill put that mile into on turf with the expectations of the horse being in shape for this spot. Miss Maddie B is ridden by Mike Smith, another person who's been on the show. Mike rode the horse last time out. First time that he got them out, brought the horse home to the winner's circle with a big rally, broke 9th of 12 horses, was a full almost 10 lengths behind the leader, rallied to a 3 3/4 lengths win. So I'm expecting to see Miss Maddie B be all the way in the back, probably, Terry, and then try to make that same trip home as it did last time out. I'm just becoming less and less and less of a fan of horses that come from the back, all the way from the back of the pack, because a lot of times they seem to run into trouble.
Yeah, and I think with the smaller field here, it's going to have problems that way. It has improved its speed rating in the last 3 races and by massive amounts. And the horses ran a mile, and I like the jockey, Mike Smith. And then, of course, Robert Hess is doing a pretty darn good job, too.
Mm-hmm. So I think that rounds out that field, Terry. It does indeed. So now it's time for us to make our picks for the $200,000 Kentucky Oaks qualifying race, the Santa Ynez Stakes, at the most beautiful track in the world. And that's actually not something that they're wrong about. Santa Anita, beautiful track. Yes, indeed, Stacy, you're right. It is the most beautiful track for sure. Go ahead, Terry. Who do you like and why do you like them? Or
well,
excuse me, I'm something wrong there.
Yeah. Okay, well, I like number 3, and as we said, two for 2. I just think this horse has got a lot of class. I think this horse is going to do really well today. So I like that as my first pick. My second pick is Under the Stars, trained by Bob Baffert. And then my third pick is Miss Maddie B with Mike Smith in the irons. And he won on it last time, returns to ride it again. And then my fourth pick is Mima June. Of course, broke on top, led all the way. As I said, horses coming from Golden Gate have been doing fairly decent against the Southern California horses here lately.
For me, Terry, I'm going to start with Awake at Midnight on top. A little bit of a shocker there, I think, but I feel like that horse is one that's on the improve, did have the highest speed figure on the debut, might get a little bit of a price there, has some familiarity with the Santa Anita track, is in form, is in shape. Under the Stars is my second selection. Number 3, Big Switch, is my fourth selection. And then I'm going to close it out with the closing horse, Miss Maddie B with Mike Smith. Should be making a late charge. I just don't know that it'll have enough to catch the horses in front of her. That's my biggest concern there. And then finally, Terry, we're going to wrap up this Saturday, the first Saturday that we do the stakes races for 2022. I think so far from what I've seen, we're getting some pretty good response. So hopefully it's something we'll do going forward. It is something we'll do going forward. And as I mentioned, when we do the live races, we'll do it for some of the bigger tracks. So finally, race number 6 is at Turfway Park. It's the Turfway PREVUE Stakes, Terry, for $100,000. They're going to run 6.5 furlongs on the all-weather track, Terry. 28 races, 17 of them, Terry, were won by horses that you would consider speed. 9 of the 28 went wire to wire, so absolutely some speed there. And it looks like there is an enormous inside 3 bias, as most of the winners came from posts 1, 2, or 3. So the first horse on the rail there, Terry, is Determined Kingdom. The horse, as I mentioned, is on the rail, winning at 22% that rail. The trainer is winning at all weather tracks, Terry, at a whopping 33%. But I'm not so sure Determined Kingdom is going to be add to those numbers.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Going to be a tough job for it to accomplish. Has a couple of good workouts, bullet workout on December 3rd. Also, the horse, as you said, has a trainer that wins 33% of the time when he goes from dirt to all weather. And anyway, the post position is a good one for it.
Well, one thing I like here, Terry, it's kind of like a light switch horse, what I call light switch horses. It was off, then on, and it won. Off, then on, and then off. So this light switch horse, perhaps in this race, you're going to see the light switch turn back on again.
We'll could see. Be, yeah.
Number 2, Nobles, Terry. This is a horse that has shown good ability on all-weather tracks. Run there 3 times. It has 2 seconds and two wins and a second in 3 races. It's also run well on turf. Ran at this level last time out. Finished 5th, but only by 1 3/4 lengths. Made a pretty good run late, Terry. In doing so, put up the highest last race speed figure. To me, Terry, I think all-weather is a surface all of its own, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, when I'm handicapping all-weather races, I want to see horses that have run well on an all-weather track. If they haven't run on an all-weather track, then I want to see that they've run well on turf. I almost disregard the dirt races unless it's wet. This horse has run well on turf, and it's proven itself on all-weather. I think this is the horse to beat.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough horse to run down and beat. Yeah, it's got an excuse for that last race at Del Mar. If you look at came 5 wide into the stretch, and of course it was running against pretty darn good horses. It's only been was only beaten a length in 3/4, and it's got the best all-weather speed among today's starters. And of course, the jockey's been doing very well, winning 24%. The trainer Larry Riviere.
Rivelli. He's from up this part.
Yeah.
He was big time at Arlington Park, but since they closed Arlington, they have to find a new home.
Yeah. So anyway, 38% of the time, his horses have been winning this track. So this is a good horse.
Yeah, one that I think the one to beat. Private Road. It's a horse that's probably not one to beat. Terry did try the all-weather track for the last time out. Did run its best speed figure, something that it's increased 4 races in a row, Terry. I do like the fact that the horse did show some pretty good improvement in its 2 furlong number. It showed some improvement in its 4 furlong number, showed some improvement in its late pace number. So, it kind of tailed off a little bit there, but nonetheless, that race is better on it's a better race than it looks on paper.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty hard for this horse to get competitive in this race. Although I do love the fact that it's improved its speed rating each and every race for the last 4 races in its career. And so the workouts, though, the last workout was not a very good workout.
No, not at all. But second off a layoff, last time out, it did improve. Like we mentioned, 4 improvements in a row. I think if there's a long shot that could surprise, Private Road might be in that list. Okay, this is a good one to try to pronounce, Terry. Trick It Rocky. Yeah, it sounds like a good name. This is a horse that's been running down at Gulfstream Park, has run on the all-weather track down there, so the all-weather angle is not an issue. So it did manage to score a win last time out with the highest speed figure for its big improvement. I mean, its horse has run twice, hasn't been challenged twice yet, Terry. I like horses that haven't been challenged, Terry. It tells me these are horses that are very competitive and don't want anybody near them. Has been working out. Okay. I think this is a horse that's proven it can win on the all-weather track and has a good shot to do it again, make it 3 in a row.
I agree with you. It's undefeated in 2 career starts, as you were saying. And it has decent workouts. The last one was pretty decent, 10th out of 36 workouts that day. And then it had the one before that was 3 out of 46 workouts. So this horse is very, very good as far as being competitive.
Difficult to pronounce, hopefully in the winner's circle. I'm sure that the track announcer, Mike Battaglia, has a good understanding of how to pronounce that name. Red Label's coming off the bench, Terry. Hasn't run since mid-November. Does have some workouts that are okay, some pretty good ones. I think the horse showed in its debut that it can run all right off the bench. Last time out, did win by 4 1/4 lengths as one of the favorites in that race, Terry. Although does have a race on the all-weather, didn't do very well. Does have a race on the turf, didn't do very well. I'm concerned that Red Label might not like the all-weather synthetic surfaces because, as I mentioned, I like to see horses have run well on all-weather or on turf or on an off track. The horse has done all three and hasn't performed in any level on a wet track, on the all-weather track, or on the turf. I'm concerned it might not like Turfway Park's surface.
Well, that could be, although it did win its last race at Churchill Downs, which is, to me, a pretty competitive track. There's a lot of good horses there, and it had a very big improvement in speed rating. The horse has got a decent workout, 31st. And as you said, it didn't do very well in the all-weather, although it showed some speed for the first part of the race. And so we'll just have to see what this horse can do.
Yeah, got smoked by Nobles in that race, also in this field. Yeah. Kaylee's brother, here's your favorite jockey on the planet. The one person in the business you said you'd love to meet. Smoking Joe Talamo teaming up with Brad Cox, one of the better trainers in the sport. Horse kind of had the good start, kind of an okay debut, really big rebound in race number 2. Showed pretty well at Delta Downs, went out at the Fairgrounds, didn't run as well there. Has been training okay before that race at Fairgrounds. I do like that the horse did show some nice improvement in its late pace numbers and mid pace, so it made a nice mid race move last time out. I like horses that make mid move races, Terry. I think Kaylee's brother, the only question is, will it like the all-weather track?
Yeah, I agree. And he's got an excuse for that last race. He was inside tight between at the 3/16th, and he came 6 wide at the 8th pole. So anyway, he improved his speed rating quite a bit. He has the second highest prime power number in the race, and he is ridden by Smoking Joe Talamo, who's doing really well here recently.
Last time out, Lucky Shot, Terry, didn't have any horse anywhere near him when they got to the finish line. Won by 11 and then just really extended late in the race, Terry, which is something I'd like to see. As I mentioned, early pace does have a good opportunity to win here. Did get a race at Arlington Park on the all-weather track, Terry. Was well bet in its debut, 6-1. I don't mean that's not bad in a debut race to be bet. You kind of have to toss that race out because he got bumped at the break, tossed the jockey, Roman, and followed up that with a win at Hawthorne, bombed at Keeneland, bombed at Churchill, came back to Illinois and won at Hawthorne. And for whatever reason, I think Hawthorne, some horses do seem to transfer well from Hawthorne to all-weather tracks. I've kind of noticed it anecdotally. So maybe Lucky Shot can kind of put together a race that looks similar to the one it won last time out by 11.
Yeah, that could be. It did win its last race pretty easily, and it's had bullet works in 6 times in a row. So you know it's a fast horse. If it can get out there and get on top and doesn't get much pressure, it's going to do pretty well.
Amicable, Terry, is the 8 horse with Thiago Canuto on there. Charlie Livers is the trainer. First time out with the new trainer, done that 28 times this year. 11% of those, so roughly 3 of them were winners. Has been running at this class the last 2 at Indiana Grand, Terry. He's transferring over. Does have a work at Turfway Park where he ran the fastest of 14, 47 1/4, 2 back on December 23rd. A little bit of a maintenance work next time out, running 6 furlongs and 114. Those aren't bad numbers. Maybe a 8 horse Amical can be one that surprises.
Yeah, it might be, but I really think he's a little over his head in class here. I don't think that, the only race he's won on a good track. And, I think it's going to have a hard time being competitive here.
If it beats me, Terry, it's going to be because people overlooked this workout on December 23rd. 47-4. If you look in his races, 47-4. It's not too far off what he normally runs. So maybe you see a little bit of upset there. Number 9 is Vidal, Terry, making its first start off, a layoff since the middle of November. So been on the bench for a little bit of while. Been on the training course where it ran the fastest of 29, Terry. 3 furlong workouts in the mud. 36-2 is not that slow, Terry. It's a pretty quick number there. Do you think Vidal can come off the bench for Luan Machado and get the job done?
Well, I think he's going to give the number 7 a lot of trouble. Lucky Shot. I think he's going to go out with that horse and be pressing. But, it's getting blinkers at it today, and he has a sharp workout, 36-2, as you said. He's 1-1 and this year at Churchill Downs, which is, to me, that's a good track to be coming from. So I think this is a horse that I'm not sure that either of those horses are going to get in the money, but I think it's going to push the 7.
All right, Terry, it's time to push your picks out there. Who do you like to wrap up today's Saturday Stakes show at Turfway Park, race number 6, the $100,000 Turfway Preview Stakes?
All right, I like the number 4, Trick-It-Racky. Trick-It-Racky. Then I like the number 2, Nobles. And then I like the number 6, Kaylee's Brother. And then I like Red Label number 5 as my 4th pick.
Strange. We have the same 4 horses, just in a little bit of a different order, Terry. I think Nobles is the one to beat. They're going to have a hard time getting that horse. Number 6, Kaylee's Brother. Number 4, Trick-It-Racky. And then number 5, Red Label. That's how I stack them up. To finish up our picks today for the $100,000 stakes races this Saturday afternoon, Terry. Any final thoughts before we get up and out of here this weekend?
Well, I just hope everybody is doing well, especially in these places that the weather's been kicking up and hurting a lot of people as far as,
the Arctic bombs.
And losing their power, that sort of thing. I just think everybody should take a deep breath, relax, and let's get life going really well this year. Let's do a lot better than last year.
Yes, let's get up on the upside of 2022. The year that all the twos come together, folks. So if you like what you saw today, please give us a thumbs up here on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit that bell so when we go live, you're notified. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. You see the handles scrolling along at the bottom here on YouTube and on Facebook on the show. It is Horse Race Today, the number 2. So Horse Race 2 and then the word day, both at Facebook and Twitter. Our Swiss Army Sean will notify you when we're about to go live. Hopefully you caught the show yesterday with Tom and I when we did the Australian racing. We had some really nice prices that came through for some winners. If you have missed it, also head on over to to our channel on YouTube at Horse Race Radar and check out a nice show that we had with jockey Rosie Naprovic for the Players Edge podcast on Thursday night. We went over a couple of races, I think 5, 6, and 7 today at the fairgrounds. Rosie gave her picks, gave us some insight on why sometimes jockeys run too fast. Something that's a pet peeve of mine, Terry.
Yeah, I know. You've mentioned that several times, so I know you don't like it. So
no, I mean, if I understand the fractions that you need to run in order to be competitive in a race, I can't understand why a jockey doesn't understand that. But I can get it. The horse is pooling, doesn't want to, you don't want to break the horse's momentum because sometimes you can't get it to come back. Nonetheless,
and like she said, sometimes the jockeys are new and they don't know how to sense how quick the fraction.
Yeah, I've seen it at all levels, Terry. I've seen the best jockeys do it and the apprentice jockeys do it. It just must be a horse thing that they just don't want to, they don't want to collar the horse because maybe they can't get the horse to come back up, or maybe they're just using it as a prep race, right? To get the horse fit. So they want to go out as fast as they can to get the horse in his best shape that they can. And if they get lucky and win, then they get lucky and win along the way.
Yep.
All right, Terry. Well, hopefully we get lucky. Hopefully, well, as I said earlier, I'm not a gambler. I am a risk taker. I play the probabilities, but nonetheless, I hope we get lucky today, Terry, with some of our picks, or all of our picks, and that they end up in the
winner's circle.
Have a fantastic Saturday, everybody. Terry and I'll be back Monday at 12 o'clock, probably 12:30 Eastern for the Daily Horse Racing Today show. We'll see you then. Until then, have a fantastic weekend.